have the shirt. That's my way of being like, please don't click off, please hear me out. I have the shirt. This video is probably going to be slightly different in the way it's formatted or addressed than most videos I usually make, if you can even call what I usually make at this point. This isn't a drama video, and neither is it like a call out video, although I will be addressing most of the points to Crypt himself as if he was watching it. Do I think he's actually going to find the video and watch it? Probably not. I just feel like this is the way I want to structure the video, this is the way I want to format the video, and if he does watch it, I feel like this might be a better way of getting through and being a bit more personal than it would in other ways. That said, I am going to refer to Crypt as Crypt in the third person, and I am going to be addressing the video as if it is to an audience, and try and have that as like a healthy middle. Does that make sense? Probably not. So in terms of what that weird intro was, I have the shirt. I was a listener of Crypt for a while, and I am still a listener of Crypt every now and again. I am not someone who does not listen to his music anymore. I'm not someone who has written off the creator. But that said, the amount I listen to the artist and the way I listen to the art has changed within recent years. I feel like the art versus the artist thing has been very much in discussion as of recent years, more than it used to be before, with artists like Kanye West being Kanye West. Am I comparing Crypt to Kanye West? No. Don't worry, you can relax. With that said, I do think it's interesting this has become a very big discussion point recently, as over the past few years, the idea of my own moral standings agreeing with the artists or creators that I interact with and support the content of, even if it's just casually through streaming and listening. I've started to, in my head, have an internal debate about what am I okay with, what am I comfortable with, and I don't feel like there is a specific answer. I feel like with me it does change from person to person, it does change from artist to artist. For example, an artist like Travis Scott, who I hadn't listened to prior to the Astroworld situation, I now kind of distance myself from any Travis Scott music, even if it's highly rated like Rodeo or if it's Grammy nominated. I usually go through a list of Grammy nominated albums, try and listen to as much as possible before the actual awards themselves come out, because I have no connection to that artist prior to the controversies and the moral standings that disagree with my own. I don't exactly go out of my way to not listen to their stuff, but I do not interact with their stuff personally in a way that I believe supports them as much as I can, just because that's personally how I feel about it, and I morally feel better by doing that. However, for other artists like Kanye West, or smaller artists being Chris Webby, who, if Crypt is listening to this, his ears will perk up there. I will explain in a second, don't worry. Artists so I had a connection with prior to their crash outs, or just in general I enjoyed the music of at a point where I didn't feel much moral issue with it. When things change and the person changes and their moral stances disagree with who I am as a person, it does impact how much I go out of my way to listen to new projects, or how much I go out of my way to listen to more of their backlog I haven't yet heard. However, in my own head, at the end of the day, these are big rich people whose art I love and whose art has really personally meant a lot to me, and so if one of their songs comes up on my Spotify playlist, I won't always skip it because it means a lot to me, and that 0.003 cents from Spotify added or removed from their bank account will not change them in the end of the day. And this is the case for loads of artists. For example, so many celebrities have cheated on their spouses. Tech9's one of my favorite artists ever. That's happened with him. I think it's extremely difficult to find a Hollywood actor who hasn't done some kind of crime. Sometimes it's more explicit, sometimes it's more implicit. At the end of the day, I think it is up to someone's personal boundaries and however comfortable they feel listening to stuff or watching movies or etc, on how comfortable they are interacting with the media and how they feel that will impact people's lives and their own life and how much it means to them. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's okay for people to feel different ways about different things without imposing that on somebody else. I personally don't think it makes you a worse person if you enjoy the art of an artist or creator who you personally believe is a bad person, or who people around you believe is a bad person, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, or if you don't force those around you who are uncomfortable to listen to it into those situations. However, you can disagree with me, and that's completely fine. That's the beauty of opinion. That's the beauty of feelings and comfort levels and boundaries and art in general, I guess. Now, how does this come back to Crypt? I am realizing that the video I'm going to be discussing is a year old at this point. I didn't realize how much time had gone by. It's been a while since I've done YouTube. Time flies by when you're in university, apparently. I had been going back and forth with my belief in this and how I felt about this over the past few years prior to this video being uploaded. and still am to this day, and that's completely fine. So I found it really interesting while this was happening, and while, to be honest, Crypt was one of the artists who I was debating in my head how I felt about listening to his music, that Crypt uploaded a video kind of discussing the idea and discussing how people felt about him in terms of that regard. I will put a warning out there immediately for Crypt listening or Crypt fans or general people who don't know who Crypt is. Probably should actually say that. Crypt is a rapper, musician who started on YouTube. He made YouTube videos, who has been quite integral to the YouTube rap scene. He's been monumental in bringing up a lot of YouTube musicians to this. I don't know what's happening, I'm sorry. But my general point is that while I am in some respects in the same breath talking about musicians like Crypt with musicians like Chris Webby and musicians like Kanye West, I do not hold them on the same level of controversy at all. I feel like that is important when you talk about Kanye and another artist in the same breath. Things can be similar but very different at the same time. On to the video that spawned this.
This has come up enough in recent memory that I feel like I just need to go ahead and talk about it. Get it out there in the open, and whatever the hell happens, happens. Because I honestly couldn't care less anymore. This is the most ridiculous, stupid thing ever.
I don't know how Crypt came across this. I from what I can gather, he'd been getting a lot of comments about this kind of stuff, and this post just happened to kind of be the straw that broke the camel's back. But the video generally revolves around a post on r/Eminem on Reddit, which kind of calls out him and other musicians who do reaction videos who collaborate with artists like Tom McDonald and Adam Calhoun, react to their music, kind of comparing them to grifters in a way. I don't think that Crypt is a grifter. I don't believe that is the truth. When I think of grifter, I think of Andrew Tate, I think of True Geordie. It's so sad that that's happened. Ironically, Tom McDonald and Adam Calhoun are two people who you could fit into grifting. It is very important to remind people that Tom McDonald is Canadian, like as many times as you can. Back to the video though, and Crypt's response to this, he kind of generally talks about the fact how he hates that these comments and these kind of this kind of sentiment is around his channel. He finds politics stupid, and he doesn't want to share his political beliefs because he doesn't think it matters. He doesn't judge people based on their political beliefs or their political sides, and he doesn't feel like people should to him either, which I think is in some respects a fair point. That's not the point I have a problem with.
I fucking hate politics. I talk about this every single time it gets brought up because of this reason right here. This person has never talked to me a day in my life, has no idea what my moral beliefs are, but because I'm reacting to somebody that believes something that is different than what they believe, immediately all this negative stuff is said about me.
I do ever think that it is fair for people to have issues with certain things that Crypt does or acts, or just people that he associates with, and for that to impact the way that they feel about his music. I feel like Crypt kind of skims over the issues a little bit in this video, or kind of words them in a way which I don't know if he's intentionally doing it or not, but I do think undermines the problem a little bit.
Adam Calhoun is my real life friend. I love that man. He has quite literally talked me off the edge. And so for that, I'm always going to be his friend. But just like every other one of my friends, I don't agree with everything that he does. I don't have to agree with everything my friends do in life. So what? Adam is a super hardcore conservative that believes in God. My own brother is an atheist and is the most liberal person I've ever met in my life, and I love him to death. I would take a bullet for him. I have friends that I go eat with every Monday night at the bowling alley that hate rap music with a passion, and that's what I do for a living.
When he talks about his relationship with Adam Calhoun, he specifies that he does not care about his political songs, and that he does not like Adam Calhoun's music for his political music. Instead, he likes it for the inspiring songs that inspire people to keep going. And he states that Adam Calhoun's a very close friend of his who's talked him off the edge, which I understand from a personal, person-to-person thing. However, not caring about these things doesn't mean that they don't exist. And just because you don't care about these things doesn't mean other people shouldn't care about these things. Because the political music that Adam Calhoun makes is music that is very damaging. Maybe Crypt doesn't see it this way. Maybe Crypt disagrees with this sentiment. However, I will be popping up lyrics over the screen and you know, etc., etc. There's enough examples throughout his music to show what his beliefs are, or at least to show what his potential grifting beliefs are, to show that there's a problem. Read through the comment sections of his videos, similar with Tom McDonald. They aim towards a certain audience. Of course, I'm not going to blame someone for their audience, but I do think it is different when someone's content is specifically made to create a reaction. That isn't exactly positive. And I understand that Crypt is saying, well, I don't care about that music. I care about the positive impacting music he has made. I understand the intention. I understand what you're saying of I don't like this, or like not even saying I don't like this. Just this isn't why I like this person's music. This isn't why I want this person on a song. I like the good stuff. That's fine. The bad stuff still exists. You must understand that people will have issues with this, and people will have opinions about this, and people might not want to listen to your music as a result. I'm probably going to be cutting a lot in this video, which I do anyway, let's be honest. I want to make sure it's not worded wrong or anything like that. I do just feel like people are allowed to have opinions, and you can't be annoyed if people have those opinions, especially if your friends have specific opinions as well. Going back, I understand the sentiment of not wanting to be obvious about your political beliefs, or just in general not wanting to bring politics into your content, because I'm fucking terrified to make this video. I'm an adult. I kind of understand what's going on. This video might come out. If it does come out, I've probably accepted, okay, whatever. It doesn't mean I'm inviting the problems. Please don't be mean to me. Also, whether I have blue hair, you can probably make assumptions of what that means already, and I'm ready for that. But I do understand the argument that someone should be defined by their political beliefs. I do feel slightly like if we start to pile so much into politics that all of a sudden everything becomes politics, and then nothing becomes politics because we lose the point of what politics are actually meant to be. Yes, of course, the price of stuff at Tesco's is technically political. I also do find it kind of baffling for this opinion to come from someone who is a rapper. Obviously, from white man to white man, I'm not going to sit here and educate you about the history of hip-hop. But I do feel like anyone who's even dipped their toe into the genre understands that the origin of hip-hop and a lot of the music that defines it comes from a place that Crypt seems to define as political. So again, to exist in the genre and say that you aren't existing in politics yourself is one thing, but to be baffled and so annoyed with people who do have political beliefs, as you call them, and who feel very strongly about it, kind of shows an ignorance in itself. For a genre with so much music in it that talks about the injustice and mistreatment of people based on how they're born, to be annoyed that people have opinions about that when it comes to you is kind of crazy.
So if you want to call me somebody that panders to a conservative crowd, I sure did a really shitty job at doing that. Especially considering all the other artists that I react to. I mean, you say that I'm exclusively an Eminem fan, and he made a whole 9-minute freestyle shitting all over conservatives, but it just takes one look at my channel to see how many other artists that I react to. I'm literally working on a Joyner Lucas album review right now, and other super liberal artists. I have 5 signed canvases by Tech N9ne, and I've said it 1,000 times that he's my favorite artist to ever exist. And I'm sure some of the people in this Eminem Reddit only know Tech N9ne because he had a song with Eminem. But then I also react to NF, who is very open about his Christian faith. But then I've also checked out Lil Uzi Vert, who is literally a devil worshiper. So if I'm pandering to anyone, I guess you could say that I'm pandering to rap fans.
Crypt then goes on to say he is mostly mid and that he leans towards conservative. I don't care. I don't think most people do care. I'm sure some people do care, and there are comments underneath the video saying if people care about this, fuck them. Sure, okay, but I see how frustrated Crypt gets in this video at the fact that people would even give a shit about this, and I do feel like it is a slightly privileged stance to take. Just pretending like these issues aren't there doesn't mean that they're not there. Maybe you don't want to engage with them. Maybe it tires you out and you don't know how to engage with it the best, and you would just rather live your life not thinking about them. That's one thing, but to be frustrated with other people who do care and who do want to act in a way where they are interested in politics, that politics being I don't like that you're working with an artist who doesn't agree with me being able to exist in the way that I exist. I don't think it's fair to be upset with people for that. I understand he's your friend and you want to make a song with your friend, but I do feel like when you push a thing of, you know, I make music to make people happy and to spread love, etc., etc., if you are then platforming someone who spreads not that often to very specific types of people, I feel like it would be pretty silly to be dumbfounded at the criticism you get from that. I'm not going to completely throw away my compliments to Crypt just because of things I disagree with him with. For example, Coffin Talk I think is a very interesting and good song talking about the decline of views and stuff on YouTube and how that makes you feel. As someone who has tried to make YouTube videos and it does feel like he's fallen off a million times, that was a very interesting and well-made song. However, I do find it upsetting that this is the response that he had to this situation. It's not even a thing of, I disagree with this artist once, goodbye. There's been other things I've disagreed with Crypt with in the past, and I've continued listening. One being that, if I understand the context correctly, Crypt is anti-vax. I don't think Crypt was vaccinated for COVID. He had the Cookout Cypher happen during COVID. I didn't agree with his opinions on Lil Nas X and his homosexuality in videos. I thought that was a weird take. The take, I think, being that he felt like Lil Nas was amplifying to get success off of it. Even if he was, I don't think there's a problem with that. Am I saying these things to expose him? No, he's a public on his channel. I don't think that's exposing. If I get things slightly wrong, that's okay. I'm not trying to make a point out of this. My point is more just to say that this isn't a disagree with artist one time goodbye situation, because it isn't even goodbye. I'm just personally not comfortable with supporting the creator as much as I was at one point, because I think there's too many things that have happened that are against my moral belief system and the way I feel and operate in life, that I am not comfortable buying physical albums like I used to, or buying merch like I used to, or sharing music like I used to. I just think that when this happens, if this happens, I don't think the right response is to be angry about it, especially when this is coming from a place of genuine belief. I don't think the post on Reddit was. I think that's a whole different thing, so I understand if this is getting lost in the crosshairs, because is that the saying? I don't fucking know. I'm discussing the video, but not what the video is responding to. I'm responding to the video, but not that. So I understand it's a bit confusing. I just do feel like the beliefs of Crypt came out in this video. And if this pisses off Crypt listening, I feel like that's a shame. And that's a problem. I don't think it's fair to write off the people who have these opinions as haters, or they don't have a genuine point. I do understand and sympathize with the fact that when you are successful and you have people who are hating on you for no reason, it's hard to be able to distinguish what is genuine criticism and what can just be written off as this is just unfair. It must be very difficult. It's something I think about a lot, because I've been doing YouTube for so long, of like, if I ever got to that point, I think that would be a terrifying point of how would you keep your ego intact in that situation. That's why I've shown the shirt, and that's why I've been honest about my history with the artist and tried to be as understanding as possible, because this isn't coming as a place of fuck you, I don't like you anymore. This is just a genuine human to human thing of like, hey man, your actions or lack of are upsetting people. You can be okay with that, but don't blame the people you're upsetting. Responding in a frustrated, why does this matter way isn't fair, because it does matter to people, and it's okay to matter to people. And classing hanging out with people who aren't transphobic or homophobic as an echo chamber definitely isn't the way to go about it.
I don't surround myself with people that only like the same shit that I do. That's called an echo chamber.
Echo chambers exist. Kanye's probably in one. But if people choose not to hang out with people who don't like people based on how they're born, I don't think that's an echo chamber. If someone is left-wing and only hangs out with people who vote for the same party, or someone is right-wing and hangs out with people who vote for the same party, then yes, you can make the echo chamber argument, but I don't think that's what this is here. I think it's pretty unfair to make that a point. If you love someone, I think it is partly your responsibility to call them out if they're being assholes, one, and if they're being bigoted, two. And I do think there are examples of Adam Calhoun being bigoted. Whether or not you think it's your responsibility to call that out or not is a completely different thing. But for people to be upset that you're platforming them and your response to be, why do you even fucking care, I don't think is fair. There are many reasons people care. There are genuine reasons people care. If their favourite artist who they have supported and saw as someone who was very welcoming is all of a sudden platforming people who do not agree with them being allowed to have their pronouns how they want, or just very little things that don't impact other people's lives. If your friend is going on record multiple times saying, I don't agree with this, and makes 2 albums about it, people are allowed to have a problem with you collaborating with them. Well, let's be honest, why do people know Adam Calhoun's music? Why do people know Tom McDonald's music? You may like them because of their self-love stuff. That's not what their main audience is, and you must know that. I feel like it's pretty ignorant to act as if these aren't defining characteristics of their public image, not even delving into their lyrics. This is probably going to be cut to shit because I've just been rambling a lot. It's a sensitive issue as well, so I feel like it's got to be handled properly. Crypt, if you did watch this video, this isn't a hate video, this wasn't a fuck you video. I think you've done a lot of good to the YouTube community. I think you've done a lot of good in your life, but like anyone, you've done some bad as well. But to be upset with people who are hurt by your actions, I don't think is fair. I'm getting to the point where I'm just repeating shit. Thanks for watching, whoever you are. Maybe one day I'll make a video again.